Who are you?
Okay. My name is Micah Martin. I'm from Columbus, Georgia. Started a Reasonable Faith chapter in Columbus. For my profession, I work in IT. Been working with computers all my life. And it started off as kind of a hobby, and I really enjoy it. And so I got a job working at the Kia plant, helping build cars for Kia. And we build about 1,450 cars a day, so we're pretty busy. Work a lot of hours. There was one point in time in my life where I worked maybe about 70 hours of overtime a month. And at the same time, also running the children's ministry at our church with my wife and our three kids. So we tend to be a little busy, but it's all in God's grace, gracing us through it.
How did you get into apologetics?
Well, I guess I kind of fell into it. I didn't know what apologetics was when I first discovered it. I guess I had a friend of mine named Vernon who introduced me to Lee Strobel's material, and I'm really into science, and so I read The Case for the Creator, and that really got my juices flowing. So when I got to Columbus and started working at Kia, I was really hungry for more information. And so I just searched for, okay, what else is out there for Lee Strobel? And I just stumbled upon this guy named William Lane Craig. I was like, who's this guy? And so I just started listening to his podcast because I have a long drive to work. And I was put into the world of apologetics and found he had a lot of information about creation, a lot of information about the resurrection, and all sorts of things that I've always thought about. And so that was kind of where I got started.
What is your perspective on apologetics right now in the current kind of culture that we're in right now?
Okay. Well, I guess the first thing I want to mention is what does it mean to me? And then I'd like to address the culture. For me, apologetics has really kind of beefed up my relationship with God. I think we've all read the Bible and have had times of dryness, and we're like, okay, what is this saying? And you're falling asleep and trying your best to be diligent, to the Word. And apologetics for me has really brought the Bible back to life, and it's really helped me to engage my faith a whole lot more. And so I appreciate that. To our culture, I think our culture is largely not really aware of it for the most part. That's just my own assessment from those that I know. But there's a small segment of people that are concerned about questions and really think hard about the faith. And I think they're aware of certain parts of apologetics, but are not aware of it as a whole. And so I think just more awareness would just be much better for those that just really have questions. It may not be a large, a large group, but those people tend to be very influential. And so I think it would be beneficial to help get the word out more.
What kind of role do you think apologetics can play in the local church?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think as people start to want to engage the community more and they realize that our younger group have a lot of questions, I think they'll really find themselves, I don't want to say forced into it, but they have to figure out how to talk to these people. How do you deal with all these questions that are coming up? So I think it has a lot of role in evangelism, I think, to help people to bring the man to Christ. But I also think it can serve a role in discipleship as well, to really help people dig into it because there's so much information out there and it can be so confusing. And I think those that study apologetics can really bring clarity to people, as they're trying to grow in their faith. So I say largely evangelism and also discipleship. It can be a role in that.
Why are you a Christian?
Why am I a Christian? Well, I think as a young teen, I had a desire to learn more about truth. I grew up and I guess I described myself as a Discovery Channel addict. I was in high school and all I did was watch it. Discovery Channel, Learning Channel. I want to know how things worked. And I was really into physics and things like that. And so as I studied all those things and the paranormal and all that, I found myself just really confused. What my passion was to figure out the truth. And so that's what drove me. But I found myself in a confused place. But as my brother, he recently gave his life to Christ when I was in high school, and he began to pray for me, and things started to change in my life. And so I think I became a Christian through realizing that first, the only real explanation for why we're here at all, why the universe is even here at all, is that God created it. It doesn't make any sense any other way. I don't see how we could be here if God didn't do it. So I think that started the ball for me, and just coming to the conclusion that, okay, yeah, there really is a God. And then secondly, for me, thinking, okay, does God play a part in my life? And as I just surveyed my own life, I realized that, God had some sort of influence. He was doing something in my life. And so that made me feel, okay, he does interact with us. He's just not out there, floating and watching. And as I mentioned before, my brother getting saved, and he started to share the word with me, and it just made sense. And that's what I was always looking for. I was looking for something that made sense, because nothing else made any sense at all. And so that initially drew me in. And of course, as I started to be more in Christian circles and praying and things like that, developing a relationship with God. But I had to first, even think that he was even there from the first place. So I think that's what started it. And so I'm still a Christian, because I don't see any other way it can be true. Anything else can be true. I mean, he's there. And of course, having a relationship with him, all that together. If I find those times in my life where maybe I'm feeling dry or whatever, or not sure, because of certain things that happen in my life, I can always point back to the fact that I know who he is. I know that he made this. And that kind of helps me in those little dry spots in my life. And so I guess that's kind of how I became a Christian to start off with.
Who are your biggest influences?
Well, my biggest influence, I think, started with my pastor who I got saved under, Russell King. And I think he's a very, very wise man. And he shared a lot with me about leadership, about how to minister to people, how to disciple, because he discipled me. And so everything that I do, the way I minister to people, I think it comes a lot from him. And also nowadays, as I'm learning apologetics, I find myself listening to a lot to like Greg Koukl, William Lane Craig. Those are the two main people that I kind of listen to the most to kind of help give me direction in my own learning apologetics. So I trust them. Although on some things they differ, but that's okay. Then I can explore those differences and learn a lot more. But I think from apologetics, those two individuals are the ones that guide me the most with understanding.
What's at the center for you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess at the center for me is the resurrection, of course. I think as of late I've been doing a lot of study with that, but I understand how central that is to Christianity in general. And so I think that's at the center of my heart, is that, Christ, just as we just finished listening to a message that Christ, he died, and his tomb was empty, and people saw him. And I think there's a lot of evidence for that, and I think that's at the center, of my worldview. Also, with my worldview, I'm still learning a lot of things and trying to decipher exactly what do I believe in some areas, what do I not believe, and what's controversial, and trying to figure out where I stand in those. But in general, I feel like I just believe just the basic things that are in the Bible, but I guess any Christian would say that. But, I believe that God created the universe. I believe in the Trinity. I believe in the resurrection. I do believe in the Holy Spirit and speaking in tongues and things like that. And so I follow that. I'm not big on the Word of Faith movement. I guess in my early Christian days, that made a lot of sense. These days, I'm real apprehensive about anything that looks like the Word of Faith movement. And so I'm just kind of still growing it in that aspect. But I guess those are some of the basic things that I believe. Of course, inerrancy, I do believe in that. And I think those would be the basic things.
Mm-hmm. So you hold on to some kind of form of the Pentecostal experience or Pentecostal theology, but you reject the Word of Faith stuff. Which I'm okay with that. Yeah. So what do you want to talk about that a little bit? How important is the role of the Holy Spirit?
I'm still hashing all that out, but I think the Holy Spirit plays a big part in our lives. I think that He guides us in ways that we don't realize. You know, like a lot of the pushback that I hear from people about apologetics is that you got to have faith and just believe that God will do different things, and thinking about it and studying this may not seem as important, but I believe that the Holy Spirit guides our understanding. So I believe it's all in that, and it's so much more comprehensive than what we realize. It's not just some thought that jumps out the sky and that's the Holy Spirit. I felt something. I felt something make me shake. Oh, that's the Holy Spirit. It's not. I don't think it's like that. It's a whole lot more comprehensive. God does things by His Spirit, and whatever He does, I believe His Spirit is involved. And recognizing that may be a challenge, but they work together, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so that's basically Word of Faith. Since you mentioned that, yes, I believe in the Holy Spirit and the works of the Holy Spirit, the healings and all that good stuff. I believe that our words do have power, but not exactly in the way that it's mentioned, or may be real popular. And so I'm still kind of hashing that out. Where I stand on, I guess, understanding all the issues with Word of Faith. Because actually the word Word of Faith, or the idea of it, I didn't really know until recent. And so to think there was a real distinction, I didn't think about it. I just thought, well, it's basic Christianity, But just identifying that and realizing what it is and trying to decide whether I agree with all of that or not is really what I'm thinking more about these days. And I have a lot of friends that seem to move in the Word of Faith direction. So it's really been on my forefront, of my mind here lately. But in general, I reject it.
You have a platform here. What's the most important thing within your worldview that you would like to express as we end the interview?
I just think just the commitment to continue learning, and to do your best to really make a decision to grow personally. I think personal growth is really important, and I'm big on personal growth plans and making a decision about how can I grow, and so I think studying the Bible and studying apologetics is helpful in that. I think generally when we think about growing, we just think about praying more, and we think about reading the Bible, but we don't really know how to study it, and so nor do we have the guidance to do it sometimes. We're out there on our own, and we come up with all kind of crazy theologies. And so having help to go through those things, I think is great. And so we ought not push away various apologists just because they're focused on things in an intellectual way, and you may feel like it's not of the Spirit. But I believe it is. And so I think it's important for us to study that, but just more important, just do your best to continue to grow and to help others grow, and whether it be Christians or non-Christians, you kind of have to figure out where your niche is, and whether it's discipleship or evangelism, you just kind of have to figure it out, and understanding your purpose, I think, is at least trying to understand it and not just being apathetic about it, I think is really important. So I guess some of the things that are on my mind, and I'm very thankful to people like Tactical Faith and Will and Craig and all those that are doing their part, to try to help people. And so I think that we all should try to find what that is in our life that can really help others know more about God and come to a closer relationship with Him. So I just encourage you just to find that for yourself and search for a group of people that can encourage you in that you can come together and grow in that, because it's hard on your own. And I think last night we were just talking about, just the environment of Technical Faith, and being around other people that study apologetics is so encouraging, because many of us have the same story about just being on our own. There's no one really to talk to, about these sort of things, and so being able to come together and discuss, whether you agree or not, it's not the point of it. Sometimes it's just being able to have an intelligent conversation, about things that matter to you, and so it's very uplifting. So I appreciate that, and I pray if you're also out there looking for a group that you find that, and that you're encouraged, and you can really find the truth, and are not distracted, by those negative things that are out there. So just keep on pushing.